I was born with a reading disability, dyslexia. What they told me back then is that I saw some words backwards. As a little kid, growing up, I didn't know if God was a dog or dog was a God. Luckily for me, there was a defining moment in third grade where my parents jumped in, found me help, and brought me Sister Vivian. Now, this was small town rural America, so the chances of finding the exact person to help me learn to read was minuscule. But Sister Vivian, she stood tall. For my little third grade stature, she was 6'7". She wore the traditional Catholic habit with the large headdress coronet, just like Sally Fields in The Flying Nun, for those of you that can remember that. Sister Vivian was a shining example of what one individual can do for another. Her kindness, her generosity, and her commitment to helping little kids like me learn to read changed the trajectory of my life. One of the big lessons I've learned is that everyone, no matter their educational background or their socioeconomic status, needs help now and then in their life. It could be a baby needing a heart transplant. It could be someone needing help with rent or bills while fighting cancer. It could be an immigration issue, an aging parent that lives just too far away, or the adoring eyes of a cat, a dog, a horse, a goat, or any favorite animal in danger of an untimely death. Everyone needs help now and then. If we pay attention to one another and the world as it unfolds around us, we can change the world. We want to be inspired by the life choices we make. We want to be engaged in authentic communication that touches our hearts and valued for the contributions we make to society, large or small. In the United States, there are 1.5 million charitable organizations. The United Nations has over 4,000 NGOs registered, and there are thousands and thousands more across the globe. In fact, in 2013, the nonprofit Times reported that 7.4% of the world's workforce worked in the nonprofit sector. Can you imagine what that number has grown to today? While each nonprofit and NGO has their plan for fundraising to meet the needs of the populations they serve, they share a common challenge in understanding who their audiences truly are. As a donor, a volunteer, and an auctioneer, I see organizations struggle with crafting their message so that it resonates with a broad section of donors, and with message delivery across a multitude of platforms, including traditional fundraising methods like live events and auctions, year-end giving letters, monthly donor campaigns, and donor receptions, to today's technology with online giving, email, mobile donation programs, peer-to-peer fundraising, and crowdfunding. You know, a few weeks ago, I heard some really sad news about a very well-established organization in my community who announced they were closing their doors for good after 30 years. So sad. One of the major reasons they cited was donor fatigue. As a seasoned marketer, a fundraising auctioneer of 11 years, with 600 auctions and nearly 50 million raised under my belt, I get it. Recently, a donor said to me, "Oh my gosh, Shelly, you did an amazing job at this event. Thank you so much. And we just love this organization. But this is the last year we're attending the event. After 10 years of the same thing, it's boring." That's sad too. A recent client comment was, "Gee, Shelly, last year we had 2 surprise $15,000 gifts. And this year, the highest gift that you got was only $2,500. Why didn't you do a better job? And I thought to myself, surprise and luck. It's great when you have it, but you can't bank on it. For me, it starts way before event night, before an invitation is mailed, or the search for sponsors. We have to work together and get back to the basics of what we as donors and volunteers need to hear to influence our behavior. You know, true influence is when you inspire someone to feel, think, and act. As humans, our rationale for decision making combines emotion and fact. When you merge influence and decision making, it begins with emotion because it makes you feel. It's validated by fact because it makes you think. And together, they culminate in action. Active donor cultivation, consistent promotion and pre-promotion activities, coupled with the delivery of the most compelling messages through storytelling, is how you inspire your donors to feel, think, and act. But change is hard, no matter who or where we are. Our world demographics have changed so much over 30 years. It's a constant evolution revolving just like the Earth. At its axis, the center stays the same, but everything around it changes. And we need to change right alongside it, because each generation has their own interpretation of what's important and requires their own set of rules to attract, build, and maintain a relationship. 10 years ago, the largest population in the U.S. were the baby boomers. Well, watch out, boomers, because by 2019, the millennials will have taken the #1 spot by over 1 million people. But Gen Xers, relax. Your time is coming soon. When we think about baby boomers, like Bruce Springsteen, Oprah, Bill Gates, and Barack Obama, you put them out front and in the spotlight, appeal to their idealism, get them involved, and allow them to find self-fulfillment, and you'll win more often than not. Gen Xers like Jeff Bezos, Will Smith, Prince William. Oh my gosh, they require the use of humor in appeals. You need to engage them deeply and show them how they can make a real difference. And if you incorporate the use of new and emerging technologies, they will engage. Then there are the millennials, like Mark Zuckerberg, Lady Gaga, Prince Harry, and Bruno Mars. You have to attract and educate them early on. Use very short sound bites. And email, smartphones, online technologies, and encourage them to plan and host events in their own networks, and you will develop relationships that will last a lifetime. The reality is that only 5% of any audience are major donors. 55% really do want to support you, and they will, but at a much lower level. 40% are consummate supporters. They love you, but they have few financial resources to allocate. Think of it as Earth, revolving and changing as generations evolve, change, and age out. We have to remember that fundraising is not about one, it's about the power of a collective audience that can help us change our world. Now, there is a tremendous amount of data at our fingertips to help us influence a broader audience. And if we focus on how each subsection needs to be engaged through an integrated plan, we will keep our donors longer throughout their life cycle of giving, helping to reduce that donor fatigue. So let's humanize the message. Let's break it down into short, concise sound bites that are easily understood on an emotional level and then backed up by fact, so we show the donors what their support will do. I want you to evaluate the following two statements. One, hey everyone, we feed families that are hungry. We need to raise $100,000 to feed more families. Or two, every night in our community, 500 families go hungry. $100,000 will feed 492 families for an entire year. That's just $203 per family, or 56 cents a day. How many families will you feed right here, right now? So which is better, one or two? One is clearly broad, but makes the ask, while two boils down to exactly what the need is from an emotional level, and then backs it up by fact so the donors know how they can make a difference, and culminates with a call to action. Remembering that true influence is when you inspire someone to feel, think, and act. Once you've developed your demographics, you've crafted the message, it's time to think about message delivery and performance across all of your stages. For some, a stage is speaking from a podium at a live event. But it's also the headline on your website, the story on your Facebook page, advertising, direct mail, online giving campaigns, and face-to-face interactions. Every time you tell your story, you're performing on one of your stages. While each stage requires a different approach, your message is still the same, inspiring people to feel, think, and act. Imagine if every adult on the face of this earth tried to change just their corner of the world. Could we provide quality education for everyone? Could we feed the planet with healthy food? And could we break the binds of hate and learn to live peacefully among one another? I think you know my answer. Yes, yes, and yes. But it's up to us. It's up to each and every one of us to show up for one another and make a meaningful difference in our world. I challenge each and every one of you to go out and be your own version of my sister Vivian to someone in your community today.